a policy reflection, and a prophetic civic address. For my fellow Filipinos, the persistence of the CPP-NPA-NDF, now approaching 6 decades as the world's longest-running insurgency, is not merely a security concern. It is a mirror held up to the unresolved contradictions of Philippine society. That an armed movement can survive for 57 years without signs of exhaustion reveals more than tactical adaptability. It exposes a social ecosystem that continues to nourish grievance, alienation, and distrust. Over the decades, the insurgency has learned to mutate, recalibrate, and resist, outlasting administrations, doctrines, and peace initiatives, while the conditions that birthed it remain stubbornly present. The government, for its part, has demonstrated that insurgency can be contained militarily. Through a mix of counterinsurgency strategies, ceasefires, negotiations, and peace agreements, the state has proven capable of limiting armed expansion. Yet unity and lasting peace remain elusive. Military containment has not translated into moral authority or national cohesion. Peace, when pursued without justice, reform, and credibility, becomes fragile. Temporary at best, performative at worst. Compounding this fragility are the incessant squabbles among political parties and factions. Governance is repeatedly paralyzed by personal ambition, partisan rivalry, and short-term gain. Development slows not because of a lack of plans, but because of a lack of shared national vision. The energy that should be spent building institutions is squandered on infighting, power preservation, and public spectacle. Progress is dragged not forward but sideways. Worse still is the symbiotic relationship between corrupt officials and private profiteers. Certain contractors and businessmen thrive not through innovation or service, but through proximity to power. They exploit the greed and vanity of public officials, hoard goods, manipulate supply, and convert public suffering into private wealth. In this ecosystem, authority becomes currency. Regulatory power is no longer exercised for the common good but is routinely transformed into cash. There is indeed money and power, and many enter public office knowing exactly that. The current controversies surrounding flood control projects worth hundreds of billions of pesos are emblematic of this decay. These are not merely accounting issues or procurement anomalies. They represent a direct threat to economic stability and social trust. Such scandals accelerate the very socio-economic and political rot long denounced by the insurgency, providing its narrative with fresh ammunition and renewed relevance. When corruption is blatant and unpunished, rebellion finds justification, if not legitimacy. All these conditions converge to prevent the formulation of a sound, coherent, and effective strategy for public order and national security. While holistic approach has long been the mantra of policymakers, it remains more slogan than substance. Even the three branches of government struggle to act in unity, often working at cross purposes rather than in concert. If the state itself cannot model coherence, how can it demand harmony from its citizens? This raises an uncomfortable question. Who can credibly speak of peace when everyone carries his own private definition of it? Peace for one sector means stability, for another silence, for another submission, for another profit. In such a fragmented moral landscape, who possesses the integrity, trust, and moral authority to initiate a peace process that is not merely procedural but transformative? As long as the nation, its leaders, and its people alike remains driven by lust, corrupt imagination, unchecked emotion, and moral compromise, conflict will persist. War does not only happen in the mountains and hinterlands, it begins in the heart, matures in institutions, and manifests in policy. A divided inner life inevitably produces a divided nation. Tragically, many who claim to have solutions refuse to examine what already exists. Programs are replaced without evaluation, reforms are announced without reflection, and history is ignored in favor of novelty. We are perpetually learning, endlessly discussing, constantly reforming, yet failing to arrive at truth. Knowledge accumulates, but wisdom remains absent. In this sense, the harsh confession must be made. We have become a nation skilled in rhetoric but poor in discernment, rich in plans but deficient in character. To say we are a nation of fools is not an insult, it is a diagnosis, and no healing can begin without first acknowledging the disease.